Today with this grandmother, you will learn about how to improve communication and understanding in relationships. If you want to discover the best advice a grandmother could give you, stay until the end of the video. If you enjoy this type of video, don't forget to subscribe to the channel so you won't miss more videos like this. We will explore important aspects of human psychology, how men can learn to better understand their partner's emotions and needs, and how to build a relationship based on respect and empathy. Life has taught me that relationships are not easy, but they are a reflection of the effort and love we put into them. So sit back and listen to these reflections, which come from a long life of learning, making mistakes, and trying again. The bad thing about not paying attention to the small details in a relationship is that, over time, those details accumulate. The silences, the unspoken words, the gestures of affection we forget to give. They all seem like small things, but like the drop that breaks the stone, they have a deep impact. Sometimes, a man may think that his partner knows how much he loves her because he works hard or because he is always physically present. But emotions don't work like that. People need to feel seen, heard, valued. A simple "How are you today?" said with genuine interest can make a huge difference. I remember a conversation I had years ago with a friend, Rosa, who was deeply frustrated with her husband. She told me, "He loves me, I know it. He tells me all the time. But I don't feel like he shows it." What was missing? Simple gestures like listening to her when she talked about her worries, helping her with household chores, or just sitting next to her to share some time without distractions. Love is not just said, it is shown. This is a lesson that many men can learn. The language of love is not always logical, but emotional. The bad thing about thinking that a relationship should always be the same without ups and downs is that you lose the opportunity to grow together. Relationships go through stages. First, everything is passion and emotion. Then comes the routine, and many believe that the magic has been lost. But that is not the case. The true strength of a relationship is built in those moments of calm, when both work to keep the affection alive despite the difficulties. A few years ago, a young man came to me for advice. He was in a serious relationship for the first time and said, "I don't feel the butterflies I felt at the beginning anymore. Does that mean I don't love her anymore?" I explained to him that deep love doesn't always feel like an explosion of emotions. Sometimes it's like a calm river. It's the security of knowing that you have someone who will be there for you, that you can trust that person, and that together you will face whatever comes. But that love, that calm, doesn't just appear on its own. It has to be nurtured with patience, commitment, and mutual attention. Human psychology tells us that men and women, while sharing many emotions, often express them differently. The downside of not recognizing these differences is that it can lead to unnecessary misunderstandings. For example, many women tend to process their emotions by talking, while men often prefer to solve problems in silence. There is no right or wrong way, but it is essential to learn to understand and respect these differences. One practical tip I can give you is to learn to listen without trying to fix everything right away. Many times, what a partner needs is not a solution, but someone to say, "I understand what you feel, I'm with you." Listening with empathy, without interrupting or minimizing what the other person is saying, is one of the most valuable skills in a relationship. The downside of letting pride get in the way of a relationship is that it can become a wall that is difficult to break down. I remember an anecdote from my youth when my husband and I had an argument over something insignificant. Stay until the end and discover the most important lesson only a grandmother can teach you. If you enjoy this type of video, don't forget to subscribe to the channel so you won't miss more videos like this. We were both so hung up on being right that we spent days without speaking to each other. In the end, I realized that it didn't matter who was right. What mattered was that we were losing valuable time together because of our pride. I learned that sometimes love means being the first to apologize, even if you don't feel like you were the one at fault. Because what really matters is not winning an argument but maintaining the connection. A relationship based on respect and empathy also involves recognizing your partner's strengths and weaknesses. No one is perfect, not you or the person you love. The bad thing about seeking perfection is that you'll never find it. But if you can accept your partner as they are while also supporting them to be the best version of themselves, you'll be building a strong and meaningful relationship. Darling, never forget that love is a journey, not a destination. There will be easy days and hard days, moments of laughter and moments of tears. But if you stay committed to communication, empathy, and respect, you'll have the chance to build something beautiful, something worthwhile. Because at the end of the day, what really matters is not the material things or the external achievements, but the connections we form with others and the love we share. So keep moving forward with patience and a heart willing to learn. Because in love, as in life, we never stop growing. One of the things I've learned over the years is that the downside of not being careful with the words we use is that they can become invisible scars. Sometimes, in the middle of an argument, we say things we don't really mean, but they stick in the other person's heart. Words carry enormous weight, and once said, they can't be taken back. I remember a neighbor of mine, Mrs. Carmen, who used to say that her husband was a good man, but that he never learned to speak softly. He always seemed like he was scolding me even when he wasn't, she told me. That's why it's so important to choose carefully how we say things. A simple change in tone can transform a criticism into advice, or a complaint into a constructive conversation. If I've learned anything in my marriage, it's that it's not just about what you say but how you say it. Another thing I often see is that the downside of comparing yourself to other couples is that it can make you lose sight of what really matters in your relationship. In the age of social media, this has become even more complicated. Many people look at the perfect lives others portray and begin to question their own love. But let me tell you something, my son. Perfection does not exist. Every couple has its challenges and difficult moments, but that does not mean their love is any less valuable. Rather, it is those difficulties that strengthen the bond as long as both are willing to face them together. When I was young, I had a friend who seemed to have an ideal marriage. She always talked about the gifts her husband gave her, the trips they took, and I couldn't help but feel a certain envy. But over time, I discovered that behind that facade there was a lot of loneliness. Her husband was generous, yes, but he was not emotionally present. This taught me to value what I had. A partner who, although he could not give me luxuries, was always willing to listen to me and support me. And speaking of listening, there is one thing I want to emphasize. The bad thing about not paying attention to your partner's emotional needs is that, over time, those needs do not disappear. They become wounds. That's why it's essential to learn to ask and observe. Don't expect your partner to always tell you what they need. Sometimes small gestures speak louder than words. Something as simple as making a cup of tea when you see someone is tired can show deep love. I also want to talk to you about the importance of being patient. The bad thing about expecting immediate changes in a relationship is that you can easily become disillusioned. If you enjoy this type of video, don't forget to subscribe to the channel so you won't miss more videos like this.